Crazy ex horror story. I got out of the taxi and paid the driver. I was really exhausted from a long day of work. I had to work extra hours to sift through the piles of paperwork left on my desk. My name is Amy Carter, and I work as the accountant for a big publishing firm downtown. I dragged my legs to get to my apartment, which was just down the alley. I spotted a figure on the wall in the alley, but it was too dark and I was too exhausted to be bothered. I walked up to my door, opened it, and went in. I went straight to my room and just collapsed into my bed. I woke up to the sound of some heavy footsteps downstairs. I didn't even know I had fallen asleep. I jumped off my bed, remembering I forgot to lock the door behind me when I came in. It was strange though. I wasn't expecting any visitors today. I walked out of my room and slowly walked down the corridor and peeped downstairs. I saw a glimpse of Ben, my ex-boyfriend who I broke up with some 4 years ago after he lost his job at the firm I'm working at and tried to blame me for it. He was constantly drunk, always woke up with a hangover, and came late to work. I always tried to help him quit drinking, but he always brushed me off, claiming he had nothing else to drown his sorrows in. I walked downstairs, relieved it wasn't a burglar or something. Just as I got downstairs, Ben came through the kitchen door, and our eyes met across the hallway. He looked worse than the last time I saw him. From his demeanor, I could tell he was drunk again. "Hey, Amy," he said, moving closer to me. Just then, I remembered I didn't give him a key to my apartment. "How did you get in?" I asked, backing up a little. "I just need some things from you," he said, taking heavy strides toward me. I lunged for the kitchen phone, but he met me halfway and grabbed my hair. Though he was drunk, he was still able to overpower me easily. I felt really powerless and helpless. I started screaming and kicking out, pushing some ceramic plates off the counter and breaking them in the process. He put one hand over my mouth, saying, "It's time to pay, Amy." As he brought his other arm down on my face, everything turned black. I opened my eyes and looked up. I saw I was now in the basement of my house. "Oh good, you're awake," Ben said, coming into sight from my right. I tried to get up from the seat I was on and attack him with everything I got, but then I noticed he tied my arms around my back and my legs to the chair. I struggled to get free and felt a sharp pain in both my arms and legs. I looked down and saw the bond wasn't just ordinary rope, but a thin, sharp wire. I wondered how he was able to get the wires around my limbs without hurting himself and noticed he had a pair of gloves on. "So where do you keep all the money in the house?" he asked with a slur. "This is the 21st century, Ben. There's a thing called a bank," I replied with anger. He walked casually over to the staircase and picked up a bat. He must have brought that in with him, and now I was convinced he really meant to hurt me. My heart started beating faster. He raised the bat and took a swing at my face. I almost blacked out from the impact. My head was ringing and my lips were cut open with some blood dripping down my jaw. The adrenaline pumping through my body mostly made me numb to the pain. "That'll teach you to shut up," he said. Just then, there was a knock at the front door. "Amy, are you okay?" Mrs. Chen asked. She was a nice old lady who paid me a visit regularly and always brought pie. Ben put his hand to his mouth, indicating I shouldn't say a word. "Amy?" Mrs. Chen called out again, after knocking twice. "I heard some strange sounds. Should I call the cops?" she asked. As Ben heard the mention of cops, he rushed upstairs. I took this as an opportunity to wiggle free of my bonds after noticing my hands weren't tied properly. It seems Ben lost focus when I woke up and didn't tie my hands firmly. The blood dripping from the cut acted as a form of lubricant, and the wire slipped off somewhat easily. I untied my legs carefully so I didn't cut my hands and immediately rushed to pick up the baseball bat. I rushed to the top of the stairs and waited for Ben to return. I heard some heavy footsteps approaching, and Ben appeared through the door with his back to me. He was carrying Mrs. Chen in his arms. Seems he knocked her unconscious as well. I swung the bat at his head with everything I had, and he cried out in surprise, falling to his knees and dropping Mrs. Chen. I swung again, but this time he turned and caught the baseball bat, but the force pushed him to fall flat on his back. We wrestled for the bat, and though he was strong, his coordination was off, and that gave me an advantage. I was able to pry the bat from his hands and bring it down again on his head. This time, he stopped moving, and I pushed myself off him, rushed to the kitchen phone to call the cops. Though I hated Ben, I still prayed I hadn't killed him.